good evening, and welcome to Live Chat with Josie. Thank you so much for joining me today. Honorable Minister David Sangeh, all the way from Sierra Leone, Minister of Education. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm joining you from Bo City, in the south of Sierra Leone.
Okay, how is it there? What's happening? How's the weather? What's happening with COVID-19?
It was raining a lot. I'm sitting outside now, but it was just raining so heavily. Um, but Bo is the second city. Freetown is the
Okay.
capital, and Bo is the second city.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm from Bo. And I had not been to Bo for many months, partly because of COVID. Then I was quarantined. Then my mom is older, and I didn't want to expose my mom. And we had positive cases in the family and all of that. But this time we could all come to hang out.
Okay, so you actually had positive cases in the family. If
Yeah,
you care to share?
my oldest brother was positive. My dad was positive. My wife was positive.
Oh my, how was that for you? What was the experience like?
All of them were different. I mean, my oldest brother was in Bo when I engaged with it because he had symptoms. He didn't want to test, and I kind of strongly encouraged him to test, given that I'm
Mm-hmm.
involved with the fight. And he tested, and he came positive, and so he had to be moved to a treatment center in Dre, and um, we engaged on that, and then he got healed. And my dad was getting treated for malaria and other things, and and I went to see him with my wife because he didn't have classic COVID symptoms, and then
Mm-hmm.
but then he wasn't getting better, so I asked that he take a test anyway. So he took a test and it became positive. So my wife and I isolated, and then we took a test, and then my wife was positive. But my wife was asymptomatic. My dad and my brother were symptomatic. They had pneumonia and they needed oxygen and all of that stuff. And my wife was not symptomatic.
Wow. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I hope they're all feeling better now.
Yeah, they are. We are. I think it's good to. I think it's the reality. The reality is that the emergency is here, and there are people who are working every day. Actually, today was the funeral that my brother, who had tested positive, went to see. But there's a young doctor who passed away, who died of COVID. Right? It's real. It's not. I mean, the world knows it's real, but the impacts of it are there, and we've had, I think, about 60. It's not like we have many doctors at all. This was a young surgeon, excellent young doctor. Um, my own mentor, I used to think that I'll be a medical doctor, and my mentor, Dr. Boima, who I still grew up wanting. I still feel like I want to be like him. He
Mm-hmm.
tested positive as well, and he fought through
Oh
with
my
it.
God.
So quite many people
People around you,
have
yeah?
tested, and but I'm involved with with this. I mean, I asked for schools to be opened this week for examination classes. But that's because
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the response, emergency operation center, um, and with the data, just looking at the data, looking at the transmission rates, looking at the distribution of the transmission. Last week, before we went on the surge testing campaign, Sierra Leone is one of the 18 countries with decreasing cases. And it's not because we're not testing, we're actually testing a lot. We're testing contacts, and last week we were testing people in clusters, and the rates aren't super high. And I think it's because we did many things excellently well. Clearly, people as community transmission happened, it required society to change a little bit. But in schools, before schools closed, people washed hands. In communities, people wash hands. In homes, people wash hands. People are not doing a very good job at wearing masks. But the basic social distancing people understand a little bit. And I was reading a paper somewhere, the hand washing is one of, hand washing, coughing, covering your coughs, and social distancing are great.
Mm-hmm.
Plus
But
our
but
beautiful.
but there's been reports that doctors are on strike in Sierra Leone. How true is that, and what's happening now?
I think there are things like incentives that people are getting and people should get that are entitled to as part of their fight. And those incentives aren't always provided in time. Um, and that demotivates how people respond. But these are fantastic young men and women, like I said, who lost a couple care providers. So it's not ridiculous to ask for what you're entitled for. And I think they are in conversation with the right people involved. I don't, yeah, I don't think it's a situation that's out of hands as people want to make it believe. It's not out of hands.
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me once again today. And it's a culture here on Live Chat with Josie that I'll ask you to introduce yourself in the best way that you want. Who exactly is David Sangeh?
That's a tough one. David Sangeh is that's a tough one.
A young
I
man,
think
a minister, a musician, a designer,
sure
a
we can just
father.
go. Okay, fine. We can go with that. A father, a
And no, I want
husband,
to hear
a
from you. No, I want to hear.
designer, a musician, a designer, the chief innovation officer, the minister for basic and senior secondary education, on the board of GPE, so care about global education a lot. And just I play football. I do enjoy playing football.
Oh, you do?
And I do enjoy playing football.
Okay. Which position
Does
do you
that
like
work?
playing?
Yeah, I used to like forwards, and these days I like to be in the middle. I like a good pass. I like a good assist. If you see, if you can thread the ball well, that in a way that leads for goal, there's nothing better than that. Like a good assist is much better than a great goal. I mean, the great goal,
Mm-hmm.
the assist makes a great goal. There are a few goals, that are like solo moves and all of that. But really,
Mm-hmm.
I think the beauty of a goal is in the assist.
Okay. And all right. Okay. So you've told me just you're really trying to brush away my question. Like I wanted you to. I thought it would take 10 minutes because you are a man that wears a lot of hats. So your introduction is actually supposed to take 10 minutes, but I don't know what's happening with you today. You're having so much fun involved.
it was gonna be 0 minutes until you put words in my mouth.
Okay. So what inspired your choice to study biomedical engineering?
Um, I mean, like I said, my mentor, Dr. Boima, took me to the operation
Mm,
theater since I was 10 or 8 or 9, since I could remember. I'd always been beside him in the operation theater. And every time I came home, if I wasn't around, every time I saw him, I would go with him to see patients. So I, I knew I was going to be a doctor. Okay. So I knew I was going to be a medical doctor and all of that. It was signed for by my mom and everybody. And then, but I was, because this is my parents' house where I grew up, where I am now. I was reflecting
mhm,
on the fact that also just in that corner or around the way I'm sitting now, I remember being a 8-year-old, 9-year-old writing music with my oldest brothers and their friends. And so I also knew that I knew that medicine was too serious. I didn't want to be too serious. And so when I got an opportunity to choose, I learned about biomedical engineering, where I could be an engineer and make things and work in healthcare. And it seemed like a perfect opportunity to combine areas and things that I loved, which is about hands-on learning, creativity, making healthcare. So it was an easy choice because it meant I didn't have to choose.
But what motivated you towards the creation of prosthetics? Why not something else?
I think, I mean, when I went as a first year, as a freshman in college, I remember having a conversation at home about prosthetics. I remember meeting somebody who was in a lot of pain at the National Rehabilitation Center, and I went there, um, and I engaged and I studied up a little bit about prosthetics, because there were lots of people who were amputees in Sierra Leone. And I remember going to college, and the first week and meeting this professor friend of mine, and I was like, "Hey, David Edwards, I really want to do prosthetics." And this mentor, Paul Bottino, had told me about David, and David goes, "Yeah, I don't do prosthetics, but I work on vaccines though." And I was like, "Sure, okay, well, I work on your TV vaccine." So then that's how I did TV vaccine work. And then when I was finishing
Mm-hmm.
college, I then met my other mentor, Nicholas Negroponte, in the ride home. He was giving me a ride. I had just gotten to meet Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and he was taking me. And then I asked for a ride, and I was inspired by Ellen Johnson. And he said, "Oh, you should come to hang out at the Media Lab at MIT." And I was like, "Well, I'd always wanted to do prosthetics. I don't know what I want to do with in my life." And it's like, "Oh, you have to meet this guy." And I
Mm-hmm.
met Hugh Her. He's a double amputee. And I met Hugh and we spoke for 4 hours. And I was like, well, if you have this problem where you're in pain, I know that people in Sierra Leone are also in pain. Let's just solve it. And he's like, well, it's a
Wow.
difficult problem. Nobody in my team works on it. I was like, well, I guess I'll be that person who works on it in your team. So I joined this team to work on prosthetic sockets.
Okay, and how has it been going so far? I mean, from the time you created them.
Well, that was my PhD. We created it,
Mm.
tested it, had a patent. They spawned off a company, and I think people are still working on it. It's not an easy thing, but yeah, there's a company spawned off trying to um, make comfortable prosthetics out of the ideas that we worked on.
Mhm. All right, and it is a great deal to be named Forbes 30, Forbes under 30. How did you feel when you were named Forbes under 30?
Great then. You see, there's
Great, then,
also
yeah, then.
and then you wake up and you're the same person and you move on and you go build the next thing. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's for me, I it's good to get the accomplishments and the accolades, but that's not what motivates those things. Which is why
Mm,
the best part for me is the making, is the production. Like once I make stuff and I'm done, I'm like, okay, great, let's do the next thing. Let's release it and let's go have fun again. Because the process of making it is the fun part. It's not the
mm.
it's not the looking back, it's the ideation, it's the concept design, it's everything else, and that leads to that moment of recognition. You're not doing it for the moment of recognition, and the moment of recognition is an extra.
You know, one thing that inspires me most about you is how you dropped a great offer to become a minister in Sierra Leone. I mean, obviously, that offer had so much money. Why did you drop the offer that you got at IBM Africa to take up a ministerial position in Sierra Leone? I mean, I would have gone for the money though.
Service and inspirational leadership. I mean, President Bio is an inspiring leader. He's a big mentor of mine. I met him before he was president, before he was flag bearer, and we connected on many of these ideas and principles. These are not new. These are ideas and visions we've spoken about, um, and continue to speak about when he starts to become president. So when he became president and asked me, I couldn't say no, obviously. And secondly, I believe in service. I believe in citizen engagement. I believe in doing the work Before I came, I was just working with my comms team to work on our education weekly. I believe in doing the work before I came like to this meeting, to this engagement. Um,
Hmm.
it's not work. It's just fun. It's service. It's stuff that we enjoy. And to combine that with impact is more valuable than anything else.
Any regrets so far?
Nope. Uh, I mean, I was trying. I don't regret things partly because I enjoy the process. Remember, so it's the process. The process is what drives these things. So if things are slow, then we need to create and think and solve it better. If
But
yeah, we just need to work harder and solve things better, and when we have that
but
opportunity.
tell me about your cabinet. What age groups are the ministers in your cabinet in Sierra Leone?
They are my uncles. They are my uncles and aunties, but we have a great relationship in the sense
And
that
when
they
they
are
look
my
at you with it,
uncle's age.
hmm
And
but when they look at your hairstyle, any comments about that? Being in cabinet with dreadlocks?
maybe on day one and day two, but
hmm
after that, no.
hmm
My boss has
Tell
never
me
asked me
about
about
that.
it. My boss has never asked me about it. The president has never spoken about it. We don't talk about it.
hmm
So when my other colleagues talk about it, I don't know, it's never out of disrespect. They joke. If they use it, it's probably like in a joking way as a way of connecting to young people. But there's never in cabinet. I feel a lot more judged or critiqued outside governments than in governments, to be honest.
Hmm. But you're someone who's also so much vested into technology. When you try to introduce new innovatives to your other cabinet members, is it easy for you, like to introduce such to your
It's
uncles
not.
and aunts in cabinet?
No, because they are really willing, because they are a set of committed people who want to change the country. I mean, I think there are challenges. If somebody is not a techie person, whether they're in cabinet or not, you're going to have a difficulty in expressing to them technology, and it's just a generational thing. And you still have other people who are older and are actively engaging on these things. So I think it depends.
hmm It
It
depends
depends
on.
not on their cabinetness, not on whether it just depends on person to person.
Mhm.
And so I engage with them differently. If it's somebody who I know is willing to learn, then I'll provide the support and the guidance. If it's somebody who I know needs to learn because their work is dependent on this, and I'll find other ways of encouraging them to do it. If it's somebody who,
Mm.
it doesn't matter whether they do it or not, then I don't invest the energy into it.
Okay. And okay, besides the serious serving duties that you take in the cabinet as a minister, you're also a musician, and congratulations. You recently just launched your musical video. It's called Love Not, featuring Augustine, I think. Yes.
Yeah, August
Nyambondesi.
16,
What? August
Nyabundesia.
16.
Nyab
Okay. Yes. Tell me about that. How's
Nyabundesia.
been the experience? Mhm.
Nyabundesia is Mende. It means my people. It's a lot of my work is and it's culture shifting and about the young people and about this thing that I'm doing. This service, this leadership, this engagement is really. I know that we can do a lot more faster and better if a lot more young people are involved in our engagement. Of people who thrive only by dividing young people and by dividing others, that makes us go much slower. And my approach to this is to use music and arts and culture to unite people and to get young people to be inspired. So I have an album called Love Notes to Salon. Um, and
Mm.
I will release it some point later on over the next couple of months. But Love Notes to Salon actually starts with a letter to Sierra Leone, and it's like Dear Salon, and
Mm.
it touches on the critical issues that we have. And then there's
I
Nyabunde's
can't wait
here,
for that.
and there's a song called Free, which is about freedom. And there's a line in there, it's like, I do this for me, I do this for her, I do this for the people who can never do this. A radical, absurd, check the roots. And I think it's this element of there are people who can't do this. I mean,
Mm.
our freedoms, we take freedom for granted, but it's freedom is not free. And and there are people who can't um who can't be free, and it's to use our own freedoms and privileges to provide voice for those people and help them find their own voices. um and there's a song called 6, which is about it evolved a lot, because this is like it was one of those. The people I'm collaborating with a lot of young people, and that song when I came up with it first used to be
Okay.
like, you did waka like you pull six, and it was about like, you did waka, you did shake ham like you pull six, and they're like, minister, I don't think you should say that. And I was like, but why? They're like, well, because you know. And so then it changed to something else, which is still good. I mean, it's the same message. Um, but it was an interesting moment of collaboration with August 16, where
Mm.
and Bash and Bayo and the guys who are on there to be like how much can you push the this freedom thing that you're trying to talk about, and music and
Mhm.
do stuff that people are going to enjoy as well. So it was fun.
Okay. But how do you manage to juggle all these? You're a minister, you're an innovator, you're a musician, you're a designer, you're a lot of things. Then how do you like balance your time? If you're not in the office, what time do you sleep? Do you go to bed at all? When do you write the music? When do you have time for music? When do you have time to design clothes?
Yeah, it's different. So last week, for example, on Monday, we're doing something about the World Bank. So World Bank was guaranteeing. That's my daughter who's screaming over there.
I know.
World Bank
We're going
was
to talk about her when you're putting her on your back.
World Bank
Is that
was
her?
giving us a $50 million grant. Yeah, and then on Tuesday we were launching something, the first in Africa. This skills development with Coursera. Coursera made available 3,800 courses free for Sierra Leonean students. And then we're
Okay.
opening schools on Wednesday. And then on Thursday at lunchtime, I needed to leave the office to go to the studio because there was a track that I had just come up with on the weekend before. I was with my guitar and I came up with a melody that I really liked, and I sent it to Bash, and Bash loved it. And Bash sent me back a beat. And by Wednesday, Bash had found some other young Sierra Leoneans, about 9 of them, to write
Mm.
8 bars each. So this is a beautiful song. It's one of my favorite, and it's not part of the album at all. And so then Bash is like, "Look, Doc, we're just waiting for you, Doctor, please." And so I told my assistant that I need to go to the studio. So between 1 and 2, I blocked it, and I had a call at 4, and I went to the studio, recorded the verse, and came back to the office. And I had been
Wow.
writing the night I that the night before, after the kids went to bed. I was writing this particular verse, and I wrote I wrote 3 different takes, 3 different verses, completely 3 different verses, for this. And maybe I went to bed at like, I don't know, 1 or something that day, the Wednesday night. Um, and what I ended up singing in the studio was still very different. But it's You just do it.
Okay. And then the clothes. I'm interested in the clothes. I'm a woman.
Yeah. I when I came home, so my mom is a designer, and here in this
Okay.
house as well is where I learned how to make my first handkerchief and really start designing. Um, and the first thing she told me was she found a new tailor because I have a thing with tailors. I think tailors. I mean, there's a myth. No, it's not a myth. Tailors in I was going to say Africa, but
They're,
tailors in Sierra
they're
Leone.
disappointment in Africa everywhere. They're disappointment.
Like everybody has a story about a tailor, and
Yes.
um, and so my mom's one moment today was to tell me about this tailor. He's a good guy, and so I was looking at the tailors like, "Are you sure?" And my mom was like, "Oh, you can
Hmm.
test him. You can test him." So I was like, "Go bring me some fabrics. Let me test him." But um, my mom is a designer. She designed a lot for me. And then when I could say no to her designs, I was like, no, thank you. I want it like this. She allowed me that. She didn't get too disappointed. And then I kind of grew my own style. And so essentially over the last, I don't know, 4 5 years, certainly over the last 2 years, any major public engagement I have, I wear my clothes. And I wear my clothes because I'm most comfortable in them, and they're my style, they're me, they're free. It's a perfect. My style is like you see it from afar, you're like, huh, that's interesting. I need to know more. And then you go and you're like, oh, this is really delicate. This is really nice.
Something
This
different.
is
Yeah.
great. Very different. It always should be different.
You must send me some. Yeah. Do you do you also do for women?
No, my mom does for women. I do for men. I started. I remember
Okay.
maybe in 2007 when I did some skirts, but I learned that doing pencil skirts for women is it was not an enjoyable experience for me. So I was like, you know what? I'll just focus on myself, and then
Mm. Okay. So, Honorable Minister, tell me about Kevin Doe. How do you feel today that he I mean, he grew from an innovative that you facilitated. When you look at
yeah.
him today, how do you
Um,
feel?
I feel great because about I'll say I don't know. Hundreds of kids have gone through the Innovate Salon and Innovate Kenya program, including 2 days ago, Innovate Kenya was getting a new cohort, and one of the stories that I was just talking to somebody about that's kind of mind blowing is this kid Tom Osborne, in Kenya, and when
Hmm.
Jacob and them were bringing Tom the first time to the U.S. when we met in New York, Tom had done something in Kenya. Um, Tom was just a lanky kid out of Kenya who was being creative, and then then he took time off college, and then he applied to Harvard, and I wrote his recommendation letter, and he got into Harvard, and just now he graduated, and he was on the Harvard.edu news, and I was like, this is crazy stuff. This is like crazy how all of this happens. So people like
Mm.
Tom, Khadija, Kelvin, Kevin, um, Mohammed, um, they're just everywhere. They're in ALU, ALA, in university here in Kenya. Uh, it's and there's one of them, Mohammed Conte. He was some people had made some videos of him. And I remember that the
Hmm.
president, we were having lunch, and the president said, "Oh, there's this boy who I saw in Bo. You should find out about him." Because I saw him,
Wow.
but I couldn't engage. And then I came to
Mm.
Bo and I found out, and he had come to my house because he'd heard that, whatever. So he came to my house
Mm.
and got my mom's number, blah, blah, blah. So he came and we started engaging, and he didn't know I was here, but apparently he's now good friends with my mom. And, I support him with ideas and engage him. I feel like I grew into being a free soul and the person who I am because I have lots of mentors. I have lots of mentors. I have many
Mm.
people who I can call, who I still call. So it's part of the service. It's part of our commitment is to give back to others.
Okay. You also became an internet sensation globally because of a singular act. I heard her screaming just now when you attended a Zoom meeting
Yeah.
with your baby on your back. I mean, that is taboo. I think a lot of people, a lot of men in Africa feel like it's taboo. What advice can you give to what advice can
Oh,
you
well,
give to
I think it's
mentor
changing.
husbands?
It's changing. There was
Yeah.
somebody just forwarded like something on Men's Day, Father's Day recently. There was some video in some activity somewhere. They had a carry a baby on your back competition, and there are these men who were struggling
It's a challenge.
to tie, and you had to do it by yourself. You had to do it by yourself, and it was not comfortable. You will know, you will see that they've never done this before. Um, I mean, I think it's. I was joking with Kate, my wife, that I've done it so many times that there are many photos of me at home or at the beach or somewhere carrying either Penina or Nyanina with me on the back. If any one of us is at home, if I'm at home and I have to help her sleep, the one place she goes is on my back. There's not a It's just more convenient for me anyway. So for the men, if you're trying to put your baby to sleep, that's why the mothers do it. That's why the women do it. It's because it's convenient
Yes.
for everyone. To carry them on the back.
But is it common in Sierra Leone for men to
No, I
do
don't.
that?
It's not common. No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
it's not. No, I
Okay.
think in Sierra Leone, like many places in Africa or around the world, um, the gender norms are still very flawed and very problematic. And wherever we
Mm.
can change those, should change those.
All right. Before we get into the, quite relaxing questions I have for you just for us to get to know you more, your soccer, football, food, and stuff. I just want to ask you what you think about Africa today. What should be done for Africa to be great again?
I'm excited. I mean, I think the young people need to be bolder and make more decisions. It's us. It's us. We are the ones who, as Obama says, we've been waiting for. We are the ones where it's us. There's nobody who's going to do it. And so I'm
Mm.
excited.
There is,
70%,
yeah.
60, 60% of the population is us. We will have to make it happen.
And there's a statement that you always say about African youth that people say the future of Africa is in the youth. And you say, no, it's not that. I want you to say that yourself on my show.
Um, I don't even remember how I said it or what, but I think
Okay, so you saying
it's not, it's the future of Africa is the way they like to say it. They like to say the future of Africa is in the youth, but I
yeah,
disagree. It's the now of Africa is in the youth. I think it's this idea that,
Africa is in the
oh, the
youth.
young people
Yeah.
are gonna grow up. The young people are gonna grow up and to become something, and they'll change the future. But actually, the
Mm,
young people will change the now. Like there's no now is the young people who are here.
exactly.
I think
Yeah.
we're going to
All
get
right.
bombarded by cute children.
Oh, now that's cool. We want to see them. Bring them on. Let's say hi to them.
Anyway, go ahead. What else were you saying?
Okay, so I was just going to ask you about the sport that unites the whole world, football. What is your favorite football team?
Boca Coa and Manchester United. Boca Coa and Manchester United.
Boca
Because
Coa, that's
this
the
one came with
local.
corn. It's the bow.
Hey, hey, hello, hello.
She
How old is
likes to
she?
eat.
What's her name?
Her name is
Yeah, they all
Penina,
do.
and
Penina. What does
Penina
that mean?
is 13, 13 months.
13 months. Okay. Is that
Mm.
a local language, Penina?
Yes, Penina is a mandate means new pathway.
New pathway. Oh, interesting. That's a beautiful name. Oh, that's so gorgeous. That's so sweet. You have good weather today, yeah?
Yes, it is lovely. It's not too hot. Anyway, sorry, back to what you were saying.
Yes. So we're talking about football. You told me about, is that the local club in Sierra Leone, the other one?
Y- Yes, Bo Kakwa, it's in
Boca.
Bo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But why Manchester United? What is your reason for supporting Man U?
I was in a call, not a call. I listened to the radio in the 1999 Champions League, and um, we were listening to the radio, and it was just fantastic and fascinating to come back
Mm-hmm.
from a goal down, and we were listening to my dad's radio, and when they scored, and everybody was so excited, the radio fell, and by the time we got the battery into the radio, they had scored again, and it was just it was that's I loved the energy and then I've gotten to follow them after that over the years.
Okay, it's such memories that we continue to hold on to. So, what are the three things that, if anybody Googles about you, that they'll never find on Google, that you want people to know about you that they don't know?
I suppose that's why it's not on Google. I slept in a snow cave once. I made and slept in a snow cave. I, some of the things I shouldn't share because then I don't want kids to do them. They're not. The snow cave one was good, but
For how long?
um, for a day. But then I was stupid because then I did not cover my
Okay.
face and the water dripped on my face and my face was dead by the time I woke up. So um, I love skiing. I enjoy skiing,
Mm-hmm.
and um, what else? Oh, I've missed 11 planes
11.
flights. Don't judge.
Oh, I have to. Are you naturally not a punctual person? 11. No, that's not good. What happened?
Yes, they
Sorry, I'm not judging.
they're all different stories. They're all very different stories. One was I was at the gate and I fell asleep and apparently they were calling my name. I didn't wake up and the flight left and then the flight was pulling out and I woke up and I was like, "But mom, you didn't come." He's like, "Sarah, we called your name, but you saw that I was sitting here. I was the only one here. Sarah, we called your name and we called it. But you could have just woke. Sarah, I'm sorry.
And you don't
They're
want me
all
to
different.
judge.
It's okay.
Oh, you made
It's
me
not.
laugh
I mean, I
today.
slept. It's not like many of them had to do with sleeping, by the way, which is interesting.
Oh, okay. And I hope that's not happening with your meetings now as a minister.
No. This was planes are different, and this was all of this happened mostly when I was in college and before college. In college, maybe college area.
Okay. All right. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. But before I let you go, any last words to our viewers today? Any words of encouragement?
No, I mean I think people like to place people, and it works for some. But I think I believe in freedoms, and I believe in us doing the things that bring joy, sanity, empathy, kindness to the world, and how we do that should be how we are individually placed to do that. If somebody
Mhm.
is gay, let them be gay. If somebody has dreadlocks, let them have dreadlocks. If somebody's a musician, let them be a musician. If somebody's a physicist, good for them. If somebody's a mathematician,
Mm.
excellent. Um, if somebody's a technologist or a public servant or like, I think the world likes to place people into one either or, and the world loses out on that. So I encourage everybody to live their lives fully and freely, and let's allow others and give them the space to also live their own lives.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you so much. And once again,
All right.
congratulations on the album coming up and your new song. We're going to be sharing it as well for
All
people
right.
to listen to your good music. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
All
Bye.
right, bye.